don't serve grasshoppers.
Squish them.
We can find bigger bugs to come here and fight. They're perfect.
Hey, cutie! Wanna pollinate with a real bug?
Being a lady.
A Bug's Life is a bright, energetic, animated story that presents a miniature world where everyday survival feels as intense as an epic battle. Set in a thriving ant colony built around cooperation and routine, the film explores how even the smallest individual can challenge an entire system. From the very beginning, the tone balances humor with tension, showing a society that depends on teamwork but is also trapped by fear and tradition. The scale of the world is playful, yet the emotional stakes are clear, as one mistake can threaten the future of the entire colony. At the center of the story is Flik, an inventive ant whose imagination runs faster than his colony's patience. He is not lazy or careless. Instead, he constantly experiments with new ideas meant to improve life for everyone. Unfortunately, his inventions often go wrong at the worst possible moments. These failures make him an outsider among ants who value order and repetition over innovation. Flik's character represents the frustration of being ahead of one's time, where creativity is mistaken for recklessness. The ants live under the constant threat of the grasshoppers, led by the intimidating hopper. Every season, the ants gather food not only to survive the winter, but also to pay tribute to these larger, stronger insects. The relationship is built on fear rather than fairness. Hopper's dominance is not just physical, it is psychological. He rules by reminding the ants how fragile they are and how easily they could be destroyed if they resist. This dynamic establishes the film's central conflict between oppression and courage. Flik's biggest mistake comes when one of his inventions accidentally destroys the food stores meant for the grasshoppers. What was supposed to be a routine offering turns into a disaster, putting the entire colony in danger. Hopper responds with brutal authority, demanding double the food as punishment. His reaction shows that the grasshopper's power depends on submission, not necessity. The ant's fear keeps the cycle alive, and Hopper knows it. As tension rises, Flik believes the only solution is to find protection. Instead of accepting defeat, he volunteers to leave the colony and search for tough warrior bugs who can stand up to the grasshoppers. This decision marks the beginning of his transformation. Though many ants see him as a troublemaker, his willingness to act reveals his true strength. Flik is driven by responsibility and guilt, not ego, making his journey feel earned rather than heroic by default. Flik's travels lead him away from the familiar routines of the colony into a wider world filled with strange and colorful insects. During this journey, the film expands its sense of scale, showing that the world beyond the ant island is chaotic, unpredictable, and full of surprises. This shift reinforces the idea that growth often requires stepping outside comfort zones. Flik's optimism remains intact, even when he does not fully understand the dangers ahead. In the city, Flik encounters a group of circus insects who perform daring acts for human audiences. Mistaking them for real warriors, he recruits them to defend the ant colony. This misunderstanding becomes one of the film's strongest comedic elements. The circus bugs, each with distinct personalities, are performers rather than fighters, yet they are equally misunderstood and undervalued in their own world. Their decision to follow Flik is motivated by hope for belonging rather than bravery. The circus group includes characters who add emotional depth as well as humor. Each insect struggles with self-doubt, feeling inadequate or replaceable within the circus. Their interactions with Flik create a shared theme of misfits, searching for purpose. The film subtly suggests that courage is not about physical strength, but about standing together when it matters most. This message becomes more powerful as the story progresses. Back at the colony, the ants prepare for the inevitable return of the grasshoppers. The queen and her daughter, Princess Atta, represent leadership under pressure. Atta's journey toward confidence mirrors Flik's own struggle for acceptance.
She is expected to lead despite her fears, just as Flik is expected to conform despite his nature.
Their parallel arcs reinforce the idea that leadership and innovation are learned through failure. When the circus insects arrive, the ants initially believe Flik has succeeded in finding warriors. Hope spreads quickly, and the colony begins to imagine life without fear. This temporary shift in mindset shows how powerful belief can be. For the first time, the ants consider the possibility that they are not powerless. The story uses this moment to emphasize that oppression survives only when it goes unchallenged. The grasshopper's return escalates the conflict dramatically. Hopper's presence dominates the screen, reinforcing his role as a villain driven by control rather than survival. His interactions with his own gang reveal cracks beneath his authority, particularly his fear that the ants could realize their collective strength. Hopper understands that numbers matter more than size, and this realization makes him even more ruthless. As the truth about the circus insects comes out, Flik faces rejection once again. The ants feel betrayed, and Flik is blamed for giving them false hope. This moment is crucial to his character arc, as he is forced to confront the consequences of his optimism. Instead of giving up, Flik finds clarity. He recognizes that the ants never needed warriors, they needed the courage to stand together. The climax centers on this realization. Flik openly challenges Hopper, explaining that the grasshopper's power exists only because the ants allow it. This speech becomes one of the film's most defining moments, shifting the narrative from fear to empowerment. It reframes the entire conflict, showing that unity is stronger than intimidation. The ants finally see themselves as a force rather than victims. The final confrontation blends action, comedy, and emotional payoff. The circus insects use their performance skills creatively, proving that their talents still matter even if they are not traditional fighters. This reinforces the film's theme that everyone has value, even if it is not obvious at first. The ants, inspired by Flik, stand together, overwhelming the grasshoppers through sheer numbers and determination. Hopper's defeat is symbolic rather than purely physical. He is undone by his inability to adapt and his reliance on fear. When his control slips, he becomes vulnerable, showing that tyranny is inherently unstable. The resolution brings a sense of relief and transformation to the colony, marking the end of a cycle that lasted generations. By the end, Flik is no longer seen as a problem, but as a visionary. His inventions and ideas are finally appreciated not because they are perfect, but because they represent progress. The colony begins to embrace change, suggesting a future built on creativity rather than fear. Flik's journey from outcast to leader feels organic and satisfying. From a broader perspective, A Bug's Life uses its animated setting to tell a story about social structures, conformity, and resistance. Beneath the humor and color lies a narrative about challenging unjust systems and valuing individual voices. The film balances entertainment with thoughtful themes, making it accessible to younger audiences while still resonating with adults. The voice cast plays a major role in bringing these characters to life. Dave Foley gives Flik a nervous yet sincere tone that highlights his vulnerability. Kevin Spacey's performance as Hopper adds menace and authority, making him a memorable antagonist. The supporting cast adds personality and warmth, ensuring that even minor characters leave an impression. The film's release in the late 1990s placed it during a period when animated storytelling was rapidly evolving. It showcased advancements in computer animation while maintaining a strong narrative focus. Rather than relying solely on visual spectacle, the story emphasized character development and emotional stakes, helping it stand out among animated releases of its time. The promotional material and trailer emphasized both the humor and the sense of adventure, highlighting the contrast between the tiny ants and the massive threats they face. This balance of comedy and danger reflected the film's overall tone, inviting audiences into a world that felt playful yet meaningful. Ultimately, A Bug's Life remains a story about believing in change, even when tradition insists otherwise. It celebrates creativity, teamwork, and the courage to question authority. Through Flik's journey, the film reminds viewers that progress often begins with one individual daring to imagine a better way, even if the world is not ready for it yet.